Okay, gonna talk about this little book, the New Testament, and I've actually had it for many years, bought it for £8, but recently pulled it off my shelf again. And that's because I've been looking into getting a new Bible, like a Douay Rheims one, because that's what all the trads have, isn't it? So I thought, you need to get something like that. And I was doing my research, doing my reading about it, and I can't remember where, but something I was reading referred to this version, and I thought, I've got this one on my shelf, and I went and got it, and I've started sort of using it again, reading it, and it's actually a really good little New Testament. So it's published by Scepter Publishers in New York, and Scepter are pretty good, pretty orthodox, pretty traditional, part of they're affiliated with Opus Dei. This was published, it says here copyright 1941. So I mean the background is, so the Douay Rheims was the Old Testament I think was published by Douay, and the New Testament was published by Rheims, and it's pretty old English. It's a translation of the Latin Vulgate, and pretty old English. And then Bishop Richard Challoner came along, 1750, in England, London, and felt that it needed to be updated. The language needed to be updated, so he updated the language for his time. And then what this is, and this letter here, is saying they felt a need for the language to be updated again, because even the Challoner version they felt became kind of unusable and a little bit old English. So this version came along, put together by a bunch of scholars, I think in America. So I guess it was it this Confraternity of Christian? I think it says at the beginning here, revision of the Challoner-Rheims version, so Rheims being the New Testament, edited by Catholic scholars under the patronage of the Episcopal Committee of the Confraternity of Christian Doctrine. So it's all about updating the language for modern times of the Douay Rheims, and I believe they also referred back to some original sources. Anyway, all in all, pretty good copy, good sort of binding, pages aren't going to fall out, it's really tough, nice ribbon here that's pretty tough. It's a plastic kind of book, but really well made, well kind of put together. It's designed to be carried around in your pocket, I believe, or in a bag. It's the size of my hand. It is pocket size. I'm sure I've carried this around with me in my briefcase or whatever. And the lining inside there, it's rugged. Pages they're not like wafer thin like you get with some missals or Bibles. So decent, tough. I like the red font, red and the black font. It's used just for like the headings. It's not like you get some Bibles where they put the words of Jesus in red. It's nothing like that. But anyway, it does look nice. I think that's old school. Each book seems to come with a bit of an intro. So there's an intro. So there's the preface written here, just explaining background to this version, and then there's an intro to the 4 Gospels, an intro to the book of Matthew, and then I think there's an intro to each of the books, just explaining where it sits in the canon, I suppose, and some scholarly type of notes. I say scholarly, I mean it's meant for the general lay reader. And the other thing I want to point out, because the trads I think were like this, Pope Leo the 13th granted to the faithful who shall read for at least quarter of an hour the books of the sacred scripture, the veneration due to the divine word, and a spiritual reading, an indulgence of 300 days. So that's pretty old school, pretty trad. I like that. I think it's good to read Bible. Maybe New Testament, 10 minutes a day, something like that. Plus some other spiritual reading. Maybe you read the whole Bible. He's saying 15 minutes a day is good. Right, the other thing I wanted to highlight about this, and what I found really good about picking this up again after several years, is, and I never noticed this before, is it's got like a reading plan to read the whole thing in a year, I believe. So you just look at the date. So today it's November the 29th. So you just read this for today. Today was the 28th. So tomorrow you just read for November the 29th. It should be up until there. So it's the book of Apocalypse, Revelation. And then November the 30th, St. Andrew's Day, you read this, and then that will be the end of New Testament, which is perfect because that's the end of the church liturgical year, and then Advent is the day after, 1st of December. So then you go back to the beginning, and it starts with Matthew, chapter 1, December the 1st. Look at that. And I'm guessing this is if you wanted to start, I don't know, middle of the year or something. Yeah, I think you just start at a different time of year, so that would be starting in June, so mid-year. And the last reading is in May 31st. And that works out pretty well if you think about it, because December 1st, this is I know definitely in, I don't know what year, but in the Novus Ordo, this is definitely one of the readings in Advent, beginning of Matthew. What else to say about this then? Nice, but I think the translation's good. Should we read a bit of it? What's a good bit to pick up on? Feeding the 5,000. So it's pretty good, easy to read English. And when he landed, Jesus saw a large crowd and had compassion on them, because they were like sheep without a shepherd, and he began to teach them many things. Now, when the day was fast spent, his disciples came, saying, "This is a desert place, and the hour is already late. Send them away so that they may go to the hamlets and villages round about and buy themselves food to eat." But he answered and said to them, "You yourselves give them some food." And they said to him, "Are we to go and buy 200 denarii worth of bread and give them to eat?" And he said to them, "How many loaves have you? Go and see." When they had found out, they said 5 and 2 fishes. And he ordered them to make all the people recline in groups on the green grass. And they reclined and so on. So, it reads pretty well. Makes for easy reading, I think. I'm not that familiar with the Douay Rheims, but I have come across some of the language. It is pretty tough going, for general reading, but some people like that. Maybe that is, sometimes you do want that. But this is designed for just carrying around day to day and doing your spiritual reading every day, the 10 minutes or whatever it is. And as I said, it's even got a reading plan set up for you, so you could read this whole thing within the year. So that's cool. It's a good book, well made. I think it's a good version. It's got lots of information in there. Good one to carry around. What more to say about it? I think it's a good one. Okay.